Shariat councils cannot arbitrate in such matters, and such decisions by any of these entities will be invalid, was the clear word. Now, the court was hearing a case of Khula. The court ruled that while it is open for a Muslim woman to exercise her inalienable right to dissolve the marriage by Khula, it can only be done by approaching a family court. It cannot be done before a self-declared body consisting of a few members of the Jamaat. Now, what is Khula? It is a unilateral move by a Muslim woman to seek divorce from her husband. It can be effected orally and has the effect of an instant divorce. Let me break it down for you and tell you exactly what the Madras High Court order from today said and why it is a matter of discussion. This is what the Madras High Court observed in its order. It said that Shariat councils are neither courts and neither are they arbitrators, which is why they cannot make a decision. The Shariat Council cannot certify the dissolution of marriage by Khula. That's another thing that the court today said. Muslim women can approach only family courts for divorce. You can get a divorce via the Khula method as far as personal laws are concerned, but it has to be ratified, it has to be certified by the family court. Courts have also frowned upon such practices where Shariat councils take such decisions, is what the Madras High Court observed. Now, many would say this verdict opens up Pandora's box. Let me tell you why. There are many implications of such a verdict coming to the fore, and the one big thing is that it sets a precedent of holding the Shariat Council invalid. Any decisions by organizations like these are null and void, is what could be cited as precedent in other cases as well. The other implication is that decisions by Muslim bodies can now be overturned by the law, at least in some parts. There's also equality for both men and women in the eyes of the law. You know what happened with triple talaq. Now, talaq is what gives the right to the man in a Muslim marriage. Khula is what gives the right to a woman to ask for divorce. So while triple talaq is also something that has now been banned by the law, Khula is also something that is open for the judiciary to step in, at least in some aspects, bringing in gender parity as well. Another implication is that it does set a stage for the debate on a need for a uniform law. Whether or not personal laws should be edged out, that is also something that could come out as an outcome of this particular verdict that has come to the fore from the Madras High Court. Now, let's be clear. Today's verdict in this particular case does not completely disregard personal laws. They still have a place in this country. But what the court has done today is they drew a line when it comes to certain aspects. And this verdict cannot be looked at in isolation. I say that because in the recent past, especially in 2022, several courts in this country have come out and said that there are laws in this country as part of the constitution which will supersede personal laws. And let me take you through some of those verdicts or observations that have come to the fore in the recent past. Now, in November 2022 is when the Kerala High Court said that Muslim marriages are not excluded from the POCSO Act. Child rights is paramount. The husband liable for sex with minor Muslim wife will be pulled up under the law of the POCSO Act. Kerala High Court in October again said that they will not surrender to the opinions of the Islamic clergy. Again, they were listening, they were hearing a case in which Muslim personal laws was the bedrock of the argument the petitioners were trying to make. In October, the Karnataka High Court held pregnant Muslim minor's marriage invalid because she was a minor. It was a child's right that was paramount. Back in 2015, there was a Gujarat High Court observation as well, which said that Prohibition of Child Marriage Act to prevail over personal laws. The special act will override provisions of the Muslim personal law in case of any other religion, as it is in the Hindu Marriage Act or any other personal law. So it is the POCSO Act as far as child rights are concerned. But with the Madras High Court yet again now stepping in and saying that Shariat councils cannot be arbitrators, cannot be courts in this country, has that now set up the debate of whether or not it is time for the judiciary to supersede Sharia. Let me open this right up. Women's rights activist Zakia Soman joins us on this broadcast. Editor of Law Beat, Sania Talwar, is with me. Advocate at the Madras High Court, Ramaswamy Mayappan, also joins us. Advocate and leader of the United Muslim Front, Shahid Ali, also is with us on this broadcast. And so is advocate and political analyst Tausif Ahmed Khan. But I'd like to begin by asking Ramaswamy Mayappan, how do you read the order that has come to the fore from the Madras High Court today?
See, I will keep it simple. Just two things to start with. One, the court has taken the grounds that the Shariat Council, a body under the Tamil Nadu Society Registration Act, is not a body legal that does not have the sanctity to grant divorce to an individual, and that right is only with the family court. That's one. Two is they've also gone into the issue when there is a distinction between Section 2 and Section 5 of the Central Act and the State Act and the Shariat law. Then what law would prevail and how should that amendment be read? And they've read that amendment in favor of the man in this particular case, and they said that way equality will prevail between the two genders, and they'll be able to seek their appropriate remedies, either the talaki, taviz, khula, or mubarat, or the fasq. Then that right appropriately can be sought by the wife only through the family court. That's where we stand today.
Sure. So does this open a Pandora's box? Is there larger implications that this particular order can have?
This does reopen the subject of discussion on personal laws like you started with. So I won't say Pandora's box. Pandora's box has a negative implication. I think today we are in a time of personal laws being protected. And when personal laws and personal rights being protected is being discussed, I think people will have to have equal rights, be it man, woman, any other gender, or even subject to orientation. And I think people have grown past the place where we discriminated against each other, where we had very limited understanding. Today, our levels of understanding are growing. So that progress will have to take place. So I think the first step the courts have taken is that understanding that man or woman, the reasoning that they have to break their union or to be in union will have to be equal. One cannot have a right that the other does enjoys specifically. That's one. And two, that they want to ensure today is that personal laws are protected through a legal forum and not through an unlawful institution or an institution that may not go through the judicial process in proper. So the court, in fact, relies on a particular judgment that came out in 2017 and one that came out in 1967 with regards to fatwas, the legalities of fatwas and the legalities of other orders passed by such institutions that do not have any legal basis to pass such orders.
Sure. So, Sania Talwar, I would like to get you in as well. And we've been discussing personal laws for a long time now, especially in the recent past, the clamour for a uniform civil code. So, even if we're far away from that, even as the law minister said that today, as far as trying to get into the debate of personal laws is concerned, or at least in certain aspects of it, there is some sort of unity that, there's some sort of uniformity that seems to be being brought by certain courts of this country as well. Like I mentioned, a few hearings that have happened in the recent past.
Absolutely, Poonam. You know, I'm no scholar on personal laws as such, but there are lots of judgments which are now coming up. This one in particular that you're talking about, so far as the Khula issue is concerned, about all these extrajudicial forums coming up and announcing their own verdicts. So that is being taken note of, and it's a great thing. Apart from that, we must also remember that there is extrajudicial, so as to speak, or a separate parallel system of people or bodies that tend to claim rights of specific communities or specific groups of people. Very recently, the All India Personal Law Board had said that even though the judgment on Khula, which was back in November 2022, had said that it is an absolute right of a Muslim woman to claim Khula by a judicial forum, the husband can come and say that it will not be so. And they can contest it. So, well, this is something that we should deliberate on, and these things can only be done by the UCC. I mean, I'm pretty sure of that. But let's see where it goes.
Sure. So is this one step towards moving towards the UCC? We've seen the clamour, we've seen the kind of comments that have come to the fore from this government as well. Even now, the government has been maintaining that the Law Commission, which will be constituted, that is what will look into it. And we're in no hurry to bring such a law. We will also make sure that we take all of the stakeholders on board before any such decision is made. But Tausif Ahmed Khan, as we see these hearings happen and as we see these verdicts come out of specific courts, in instance what happened today in the Madras High Court, do you think this is a case of a one-off incident in isolation, or do you think it will have larger ramifications as far as it being cited as precedent in some cases?
No, you see, every case is different and every case outcome depends on the facts of the case. So when in this particular case that you're talking about, where Madras High Court has delivered its judgment, the Sharia Council relied upon a judgment of a Kerala High Court. In the Kerala High Court judgment, the court upheld the right of a woman to approach extrajudicial forum for declaration of the dissolution of the marriage. And in this Madras High Court judgment, they have said that no, in this particular case, this is not a fit case, you must approach the family court. And in both the High Court judgments, they have relied upon the Muslim Personal Law Shariat Application Act, as well as Dissolution of Muslim Marriages Act. You see, so there is no, after this judgment, there is no such thing as if, opening of a Pandora box or any drastic change is going to happen, or if this sets a path for, implementation of UCC. No such thing is going to happen. Only, depending on the case, the existing law, which is there, which is the Muslim Personal Law Shariat Application Act, it is interpreted according to the case and, according to the facts, and the judgments are delivered.
Sure, but the ratification has to be done by a court and not like bodies, not by bodies like the Shariat Council, is what the court said today. And don't you think that would, in some case, bring a sort of uniformity, in the sense that if a marriage has to be ratified for any other religion in this country, or divorce has to be ratified, we have to go to a family court, which is exactly what the Madras High Court has asked the couple in this case as well to do.
No, you see, the act of giving divorce, the act of pronouncing divorce does not need to happen inside the court premises, inside the family court premises. No, that is not the case, and the court has never said that. The requirement for pronouncing talaq, or for pronouncing or asking for khula talaq is there are some ingredients, like there has to be witnesses, and you have to be in your sound mind. And there are other technicalities and qualifications involved.
Sure.
But that never requires a woman to approach the family court itself. I mean, the process can be initiated and the process can be completed, but it can always be challenged by the husband. Like in this case, the woman sought the divorce and she got the divorce, but the husband challenged it. And the court, considering the fact of the case, has rejected, said that no, you go before the family court. So therefore, it all depends on the case to case. It all depends on the facts and whether all the prerequisites, which is there in the Shariat law, has been followed or not.
Sure. But Zakia Soman, there are many within the community also who believe that, especially after the ban on triple talaq, there are several husbands who would want a divorce from their wife, are now trying to pressurize them into following this particular path because it is easier to get done. And when we have parallel bodies like the Shariat Council intervene and ratify these kind of decisions, then many believe that there are reasons for the woman to be the aggrieved party in certain cases.
Yeah, so you're right, Poonam. It is about justice for both parties, and all the more about justice for the vulnerable party, which 9 out of 10 cases it happens to be the woman. So the Muslim woman's right to access justice, just like all other women, Hindu women, Christian women, Parsi women. So Muslim woman also requires a similar right at similar footing. Right to khula is a right granted to her in religion, but in reality, the practice of this right is very, very difficult. A lot of impediments are put in the way of khula, and invariably, a lot of conditions are put in front of her, which she is not able to fulfill. So in this instance, where the Madras High Court has said that they should approach the family court, I'm not particularly aware about the specifics of this particular case, but in general terms, khula is a right given, is an affirmative right given to the woman who can initiate and seek divorce of her own volition.
Sure.
So what this observation does is kind of, it is highlighting the need for accountability in the community mechanism. So Shariat Council is one community mechanism. There are caste panchayats also across the country. They
Yes.
go by various names.
Yes.
But the problem arises when they do justice in a very arbitrary manner, and very often they do justice, which is only beneficial to the male party and not so much to the woman's side. So accountability is necessary, because you look at it from religious point of view, or you look at it from constitutional point of view. Both woman and man are entitled to justice and equality.
Yes.
And as was said by the panelist, equality is the prime concern here, that both parties should have that opportunity for justice and for equality. So I look at this observation as a step forward.
Sure.
But without being aware of the specifics of the case, Poonam.
Sure, Shahid Ali, it is about accountability, irrespective of the religion. Unfortunately, we live in a patriarchal society. There are certain sections in every religion which are male-dominated, which would want to give the benefit of the doubt to the man. Unfortunately, we live in those times. When we are talking about accountability as far as personal laws are concerned, many even within the minority community, within the Muslim community, would believe that there is no accountability to organizations like the Shariat Council, and in more often than not, in most cases, the man would get the upper hand. So by sending the woman to the family court, to a uniform system of judiciary that is applicable to every citizen in the country, we are trying to bring in that uniformity, at least in one sort of, in one particular section of the personal laws. Do you agree?
Yes, it is true. And this has been
in fact, you please appreciate one thing only. The question is to me. I think I
yes,
should
Shahid
reply
Ali,
to
go.
that.
Yes, Shahid Ali, go ahead.
Yes. We should appreciate one thing only, that there is Shariat Act 1937, and Shariat Act provides what? That any person, those who are Muslims, I mean to say the both husband and wife should be Muslim, they may declare that they are Muslims and they want to get their dispute resolved. Disputes as regards maintenance, as regards inheritance, as regards marriages, as regards adoption and everything, the will and all. That they may confer this power to or upon anyone, and thereafter they may approach that authority to get their dispute resolved. This is absolutely in consonance with Constitution of India. This is in consonance with Sharia Act 1937, which has also been passed by the Parliament, and this is being followed till date. So any order in contradiction to that Sharia Act or violating the Sharia Act is absolutely illegal. I think this order passed by Madras High Court is illegal, and this should be approached. This should be challenge before the Honorable Supreme Court, because in one or this other sense, this order violates the Sharia Act 1937 and also the Constitution of India. Constitution of India empowers all citizens of India, whether they are Hindu, Muslim, Sikh or Isai, to follow their own religion, to follow
yes,
their
and the Madras High Court, even this particular case, Shahid Ali has made it clear that the woman under the Sharia law, under personal laws, does have the right to seek unilateral divorce or instant divorce.
What is no, absolutely not. What is Poonam? What is Khula? Khula is the mutual consent divorce.
But it's initiated by the woman, isn't it?
Go through all rigors of approaching the court. Thereafter, this the matter delayed in court. Matter is dragged in court for several years. Therein, the provision is that they may approach a particular authority by way of moving appropriate application with that authority to seek divorce by mutual consent. What is bad in that?
But isn't that how divorces?
Absolutely not.
Isn't that how
And that
divorces are ratified across the
also.
country for every other religion as well? Even marriages, for that matter, a Hindu couple would get married in a temple, for example, and have the priest sign on it and have a certificate. We still would have to go to court and get a certificate, isn't it, from the judiciary of this country?
Rectification will come only if there is any irregularity or illegality. There is no such irregularity, illegality. Please tell us one. What is irregularity? How the women are oppressed? Even the women are empowered by virtue of that act to approach that authority to take mutual consent divorce. Now you want every woman that they should run to the honorable courts and to drag in honorable courts for years.
But would you deny the fact, Shahid Ali, that many within the community also have raised the fact that
you should appreciate it, and I say I say from your channel that we all Indians should approach that kind of approach.
Sure, sure. But I just want to ask you that, like you say, that this is going to get caught up in litigation. But it is about having that particular faith in the judiciary of this country, isn't it? It is the same courts that you knock on the door of every single time you are the aggrieved party. So when ratification has to happen, a certification has to happen of marriage by the court, then why not of divorce?
Ms. Poonam, please try to understand one thing. This act has been passed by the parliament.
Sure.
So this is not contradiction.
There
this
was
is
no
not in
parliament
contrary to or
in
in contrast to
1937,
the
I'm
judiciary
sorry.
or the dictum of judiciary. This is absolutely in consonance with that.
Would you also deny, Shahid Ali, that the Waqf board across the country has warned several elements within the community to not hurry these khula requests, because there have been instances where the husband has been trying to pressurize the wife to use this approach for a divorce because triple talaq has now been banned? Have those kind of advisories and warnings not come from within the community? If that is the case, then why shouldn't the courts of this country take a view that caution is
better? That's why I'm saying if pressures are mounted, then they may file a complaint. If pressures are mounted, they may file a complaint. Honorable courts are there. The law enforcing agencies are there. If such incident comes that the pressure has been exercised, then absolutely. See, what Sharia says, that the consent should be free consent. Absolutely, in terms of section 10 of Contract Act, both the parties should be major and the consent should be free consent. Consent should be out of their own volition. Consent should not be actuated by fraud, coercion. So if any consent has been obtained by fraud, coercion, then the courts of criminal law are always open.
Sure. But we should not take precautions. We should wait for something to actually go wrong before approaching the court. That's the approach that Shahid Ali would like to take. Is that the kind of approach that we should be taking?
How you can apprehend something? So
but don't you think that prevention is better than cure, which is exactly why the court in this particular case has said get it ratified, and whichever party is...
If you will go through entire IPC, accepting the dakati, no offence, at the stage of preparation is a crime.
Sure, so this is completely invalid and illegal is what Shahid Ali says. Tausif Ahmed Khan, do you agree?
No, you see, he does make sense. You see, nowhere does the law forbid any Muslim woman to approach the court. It is open to them. Similarly, it is open to them to approach the Shariat Council. If there are Shariat Council, they have a purpose. Now, the law does not require, does not take away the right of the woman, to initiate the khula process only through the family court. That is not the law. If today government wants to make amendment and only says that, okay, no, you even under the application of Muslim Shariat law, you will have to go to the court only to file a divorce petition like anybody else, then that's taking away the personal law, and this judgment does not say so. You see, this is this particular case where the court was considering a fact of divorce already pronounced by the wife. Claimed to have obtained the divorce, yes, which was disputed by the husband. So by looking at this case, the court has ruled, High Court has ruled that no, you must approach family court. So it is applicable to this case. Whether this becomes a precedent and whether everyone else starts contending that you have to go to family court to obtain a divorce, then that's a bad law. But the law does not say so. Under the Muslim application of Muslim Shariat Act, it means that you can, the basic requirement which is there is not of the court. The requirement there is of being in sound mind, and the requirement there is of the witnesses, and there are some requirements which should be fulfilled if you want to pronounce a valid divorce. Whether this divorce was valid or not, that may be challenged, and for that court may look into it. And so far the Shariat Council is concerned, fatwa was never, no one claimed that fatwa is a legally enforceable opinion. Fatwa is an opinion. People can approach council, approach a mufti and obtain a fatwa. It is never legally enforceable. It depends upon the parties. If they accept it, very good. If they do not accept it, they may go and challenge and open up the litigation. Once you go, even today the government and the courts discourages people from coming to court. What are you saying? Sure. Court says that you try arbitration.
So the order that came to the fore from the Madras High Court today could have implications that it shouldn't have. It could set the wrong precedent as well. Is that what you're trying to say, Mr. Khan?
Depending upon people, if someone contends that no divorce has to be obtained under Shariat law only from the family court, then that's a wrong contention. And that rely upon the Madras High Court judgment, then that's a bad law. It has to be challenged and then it will be set aside, I'm sure, if the matter reaches to the higher court. And why to a higher court? Look at the Kerala High Court. Kerala High Court judgment is there. I'm sure there are other High Court judgment as well on this point. Because the law does not require a Muslim woman in order to obtain the khula to approach family court. Sure.
So by putting that particular caveat in this particular case, right? So by putting that particular caveat in this case or in this particular order that the Madras High Court has come out with, there is some sort of meddling as far as personal laws are concerned. Ramaswamy Mayappan, that's one of the allegations that's being made. How do you respond?
Poonam, no. The court has actually been very categorical, and I think people have inferred the wrong thing from the Kerala High Court judgment also. The Kerala High Court categorically states, one, that the Muslim woman has a inalienable right, and in that particular case the khula was not treated properly. That's the reason the woman went to the court and actually sought, and the court gave three different options. Said either a declaration of repudiation or termination of the marriage, an offer to return the dower, and an effective attempt for reconciliation will have to be taken up by the khula, which the institutions failed to do. Which again here in this particular case, when the petitioner, the husband, attempted to go and ask for restitution of conjugal rights without taking proper reference to the entire matter, the matter was dismissed. The matter was dismissed ex parte, and that's the reason the husband approached the court. And this is why the courts in this particular case found that the Shariat Council is not a body that can go through such arbitrations or dispute resolution, and the court may be the appropriate forum where for dissolution of marriage by khula, people will have to obtain certificates only through the court, particularly the family court, rather than the uncertified institutions where only members of Jamaat sit through and do not follow strict procedure.
Sure. Zakir Soman, is uniformity all that bad? Yes, personal laws, there are several of them which, especially for the Muslim community, are very, very different as far as marriage goes, marriageable age goes, as far as adoption or divorce would go. In certain aspects at least, perhaps not a blanket uniform civil code, but in certain aspects at least, getting in uniformity for all sections of all religions in this country, would that be such a bad thing?
So Poonam, uniformity in itself is not the goal. When we say uniformity, we are saying it as a means to the end goal, which is gender justice. So and because of all these different kind of personal laws and different kind of practices, the end result is that justice is not done and the rights of the woman get violated. That's the concern. So the central theme here is justice for the weaker party, which in 99% cases in a country like India happens to be the woman. So that's why, to address the anomalies and the loopholes and the gaps, because the way, the gentleman said that Shariat Application Act is passed by the parliament. I'm sorry, there was no parliament in 1937. This is a law of the British era. And this law is highly incomplete, not at all comprehensive. It is insufficient.
Almost all laws are of British era.
To give legal protection
Those
to
laws
women
have been adopted by
in
parliament.
all the important matters pertaining to marriage and divorce, beginning with age of marriage, beginning with the procedure of divorce, beginning with the question of polygamy, the question of custody and guardianship of children, the Quran given rights of share in property. None of these are included in a codified manner in the so-called Shariat law under which we are governed. And as a result, this whole unequal situation has been created in reality, where the Muslim woman is on the receiving end, and she invariably never gets justice. And that's why this whole hullabaloo over the loopholes in the personal laws as found in practice, coupled with these community-based mechanisms, I agree with the point that they have their validity, because legal justice in our country is costly, it is time consuming, it is complex, complicated, all that is true. And community institutions are serving a purpose, provided they are made accountable, provided there are the principles enshrined in the constitution which are not violated in the name of personal laws, and they have to ensure that justice is done. So this whole effort is about bringing accountability, and making the environment more affirmative, more conducive for the weaker party, which unfortunately in our country happens to be the woman.
Yes.
So uniformity is also referred to in that context, Poonam, so that the anomalies, which are found within all these different practices are kind of eradicated.
Sure. So how do we get rid of those anomalies, Sania Talwar? Many would believe that UCC is the way forward. The government also has been speaking of it. But unfortunately, that's all that has happened. All we've heard is the government speaking about it and it coming up every single time in a span of a few months. But since 2016, since when the government went on and said that we'll begin consultations, we'll try and get into the process, to now 2023, there's very little that has been done. The government keeps saying that the Law Commission will come into effect and they will look into it, and then we'll see where we go about that.
Poonam, I'd like to also point out one thing. Since the Constitution was mentioned and rights of religion were mentioned, it is also important to remember that Article 14 also exists, 15 also exists. So if there is a right to practice and profess religion, there is a right to equality also. This contradiction in itself is what was the problematic issue that started in 1954 when the Hindu code came in and nothing was done about the other communities. Other communities, and especially women from other communities and the Muslim women, were kept in the limbo. And it is unfortunate that it's not been done for so long. Uniform civil code, whether or not it will come into force and when it will come into force. Of course, these are deliberations and they're going on. And I think it's a massive exercise. A lot of communities, their sensitive aspects and the issues that they want to take note of and they want to make sure are put in place, they have to be debated on, and it takes a long time to do that. And I'm glad that it's being deliberated and debated before it's actually being effectuated and passed. But how to get rid of these anomalies, I think that seems to be the right way forward. And when we're looking at religion, we also have to look at equality. So these two things from the Constitution have to run side by side.
Absolutely. So equality, accountability, the freedom that the Constitution guarantees to every single citizen, it should be applied to every single citizen. And that's really the message that perhaps comes out. Whether or not it is time the judiciary in this country supersedes is paramount to anything else, be it personal laws or organizations like the Shariat Council. Well, the jury is out on that, and I'd like to thank all my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. We're shifting focus now to the temple town of Ayodhya, where the Grand Ram Temple will be opening its doors to devotees in January next year, and the construction is all on track. 2 Shaligram stones were dispatched from Nepal for the Ram Temple. They've reached Ayodhya after covering a distance of over 500 kilometers. They're considered to be centuries old by the faithfuls. These stones are likely to be used for carving out the idols of Ram Lalla and goddess Sita for the Ram Janmabhoomi temple. What will be their exact purpose, we don't know yet. But what we do know is for sure is that the significance these particular stones hold for devotees who thronged Ayodhya in large numbers to pray this morning. The stone is considered to be a representation of Lord Vishnu. It's seen as a sacred object. Shaligram stone is used in several Hindu rituals. It's believed to bring good luck, prosperity and blessings to those who worship it, which is why we saw the temple town of Ayodhya all decked up for the arrival of this Ram avatar. CNN News 18 was on ground there to soak it all in. Take a look at the special report.
The Ram temple construction in Ayodhya is going on in full swing. Two sacred rocks from Nepal have arrived in the temple town. The idols of Ram and Sita will be carved out of these rocks and placed in the main temple complex of the Ram Mandir. The stones have been offered for the Ram Lalla idol by the people of Nepal. The Shaligram stones are said to be found only on the river banks of the Kali Gandaki river that flows in neighbouring Nepal.
As the construction of the Grand Ram Temple gains pace in Ayodhya, these are the two huge several tons of Shaligram rocks that have now arrived in Ayodhya all along the way when they started their journey from Nepal and all along their way to Bihar and then parts of Uttar Pradesh, Gorakhpur especially in Uttar Pradesh. They have seen a lot of crowd turnover. People have been, getting close to these rocks to get a glimpse of them, touch them, and in fact they have been treated with a lot of religious fervor, a lot of reverence by the devotees here.
One stone weighs 18 tons and another 16 tons. Both of them have been approved technically and scientifically for making the idol.
क्या है इन पत्थरों का महत्व क्या है?
ये गंडकी वो जो गंडकी को बोलते हैं कि ओल्डर देन हिमालय। इंडेक्स फॉसिल टेक्टोनिक अपलिफ्ट ऑफ हिमालय का इंडेक्स फॉसिल्स शालिग्राम शिला है। वो अमोनोइट वो होता है। ये कैल्साइट है, वो क्वार्टजाइट है। ये साक्षी बैठा है कि ये इसका प्रमाण शालिग्राम है, वहाँ मिलता है।
Hundreds of volunteers and devotees went to Ayodhya to welcome the sacred stones.
इस पत्थर को हम लोग भगवान विष्णु के रूप में देखते हैं, जो शालिग्राम, जिस जगह शालिग्राम रहता है उसी जगह पर ये पत्थर रहता है, तो इस पत्थर को भी शालिग्राम के ही माना जाता है।
काली गंडकी में शालिग्राम मतलब वहाँ पे मानता है नेपाल में, जो काली गंडकी की जो पत्थर सब है बिना काटे हुए तो मूर्ति का रूप तो नहीं होगा, वो तो करना ही पड़ेगा।
अब यहाँ श्री राम अवध में यहाँ पर मंदिर में सजे बने, और यही हम लोग की कामना है। बड़ी उल्लास के साथ हम लोग आए हैं, सैकड़ों की संख्या में जनकपुर धाम में।
The grand celebrations for the opening of the Ram Mandir will start in December 2023 and will continue till Makar Sankranti in January 2024. The door of the Grand Temple will be opened for devotees on the 1st of January 2024.
But that is time for a quick break here on this edition of Plain Speak. But on the other side, we have a super exclusive interaction with none other than Sania Mirza. Do stay tuned for that.
बड़ी राहत दी है। इस सर्वस्पर्शी और विकसित भारत के निर्माण को गति देने वाले बजट के लिए मैं फिर एक बार निर्मला जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
समृद्ध, समर्थ और संपन्न भारत. These were the three pillars on which India is envisioning its road ahead till 2047. But as Nirmala Sitharaman said, 7 pillars or Saptarishi. First up, inclusive development announcements for women, SC, ST, OBCs, other underprivileged groups, along with taking care of the salaried middle class, the government employees who are going to retire, pension person, senior citizens, everybody's been spoken about. Reaching the last mile or Antyodaya, this has been a stated vision, and they want to follow the ideals of Vinoba Bhave and the likes of Deen Dayal Upadhyay and Mahatma Gandhi. So aspirational blocks program for distribution of government services. So from aspirational districts, they move to block level, where they also want to encourage government, state governments to start building unity malls where everybody can converge. Farmers, local producers can come there and sell their produce. So unity malls is something which they want to push. Capex outlay increased steeply by 33%. So this is the infrastructure and investment. That's the third pillar. The fourth pillar is unleashing the potential. National data governance policy for innovation and research for startups. This time around, very aggressively pushing agri startups. So at the rural level, encouraging entrepreneurship and a certain level of initiative. Financial sector, it looks at the MSME revamp schemes, getting an infusion of 9,000 crore plus into the entire corpus and strengthening what is going to be the driving force in our push to becoming a manufacturing economy or a nation too, along with services. 35,000 crore capital investment towards energy transition. Green growth is something which we are committed to, and like Mr. Kant and Paramayar were saying, sustainability is core to our growth, and we need to leapfrog, take that jump, and that can be done only with youth power. So the next pillar, PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0, to skill lakhs of youth with new age courses, on the job training and sector wise skilling. And this will be also part of the entire Vishwakarma initiative, where those who are doing the hard skilled labor and work, craftsmen, they will also be encouraged. So these are the 7 pillars that Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, spoke about. Let's listen into a short excerpt of her 1 hour 25-minute long budget speech.
I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime, the new personal income tax regime, with 6 income slabs starting from 2.5 lakh. I propose to change the tax structure in this regime by reducing the number of slabs to 5 and increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakhs. The new tax rates are 0 to 3 lakh, nil. 3 to 6 lakhs, 5%. 6 to 9 lakhs, 10%. 9 to 12 lakh, 15%. 12 to 15 lakhs, 20%. And above 15 lakhs, 30%. Mahila Samman Savings Certificate will be made available for a 2-year period up to March 2025. This will offer deposit facility up to 2 lakh in the name of a woman or girls for a tenure of 2 years at fixed interest rate of 7.5% with partial withdrawal option. The maximum deposit limit for senior citizens savings scheme will be enhanced from 15 lakh to 30 lakhs of rupees. The maximum deposit limit for monthly income account scheme will be enhanced from 4.5 lakh to 9 lakh for single account and from 9 lakh to 15 lakh for joint account. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0 will be launched to skill lakhs of youth within the next 3 years. On-job training, industry partnership and alignment of courses with needs of industry will be emphasized.
So let's quickly look at the highlights of Budget 2023 and why we say it's Sabka Budget. It's got fiscal prudence in consideration, it's got poll considerations. So there is about the vision of Bharat in 2047, but there is also the vision of the ballot in 2024 and of course the build-up in the states. We got Zaka on the wall, not with the poll numbers, but with the budget numbers this time, and we look at all of that in detail. But let's signpost some of the salient features. The growth via higher capital spending up by 33% to 10 lakh crore rupees. It surprised everybody and the corporate world has welcomed it. Focus on fiscal prudence continues. No tax on salary up to 7 lakh rupees in the new tax regime. So it's an out and out rebate if your salary is 7 lakhs. If it is more than that, then you get into the slabs which have also been revised in the new tax regime. Tax savings for young and retired continue. Nudge to the new tax regime is very clearly evident. This capex target of 10 lakh crore is very, very important because this capital expenditure is what will solve perhaps the jobs problem, ladies and gentlemen. Is everybody happy about it? We have to wait and see whether or not everybody is happy about it. What are the other allocations and some of the other sectors that have been taken care of in this budget? Let's try and understand. The PM Awas Yojana, the outlay has been hiked by 66%. So the construction, building of homes, affordable homes for those for whom the dream of a makan, their own makan, a chhat on their head was a far distant dream. They want to take that further. But what that does is that again generates employment, the steel industry, cement industry, and of course the labor intensive industry. 35,000 crore for green energy transition, and it's being incentivized because sustainability, green energy is one of the 7 pillars which the finance minister said Saptarishi. 2.4 lakh crore out of the 10 lakh crore is the outlay for railways. So infrastructure push continues. So they're on that path. They're staying steady and they're not deviating from it. It's perhaps the biggest ever allocation that's ever happened for railways. And then what are the other salient features that stand out? Is there something in there for the Kisan? Yes. Is skilling an important aspect that will be considered? Yes. And these pushes are over the next 3-year horizon. So they're looking beyond Lok Sabha 2024. And the Prime Minister very, very clearly said, a Samriddha, Samarth and Sampanna Bharat. That's the vision for 2047. So let's try and break up what stands out for you and me.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm Shivani Gupta and joining me is none other than Sania Mirza to talk about her glorious career, which is almost coming to an end. Sania, we discussed this when you joined us at the CNN IBN Indian of the Year Awards last year, a couple of months ago. Since then, you've played your final Grand Slam at the Australian Open. For those who don't know, Sania actually sent me this t-shirt from the Australian Open. So I'm wearing this for this very special interaction. We saw your speech after your final match, and it was almost a fairy tale retirement from Grand Slams where you made it to the finals in mixed doubles with none other than Rohan Bopanna, one of your oldest friends and partners. And it was a very emotional moment for you. Could you describe to us what that moment was like?
Well, I think that I was holding on to so many emotions for those 2 weeks that everything kind of came out together. And I think it would probably come out anyway at whatever time my Grand Slam was going to be over, but it just happened to be in front of the whole world and in the final. So, I mean, I'm so glad, right, that happened, because if I had to write a story where I would like to finish my career and where I would like to finish playing, it would be on one of the biggest courts of the world, and playing in a big final. So for me, it was a dream finish, and it was obviously very special because it was in Australia as well. But for so many reasons, my son was there, my parents were there. It was with Rohan, who was my first ever mixed doubles partner 22 years ago, which is crazy when I say those numbers in my head. Actually, now you don't realize where those 22 years have gone. Time just kind of flew by. And so there was so much in my head, and that's why I started by saying it's all happy emotions, because the emotions were actually really, really happy, satisfied, full of gratitude, gratefulness. It was all that, and a little bit of just sadness to leave and know that I'm never gonna come back and compete in a Grand Slam final again, So, but yeah, mostly it was all happy, and I was just holding on and holding in for 2 weeks, so I kind of just let it all go.
You don't cry in public very easily, so that is something. That just tells you how special this moment was. I did see a picture that one of your family showed to me behind the scenes when you entered, I think, the lounge, the players' locker room after the final, and I think you were a little bit teary then as well. They had some bouquets and gifts for you.
I was not a little bit teary. I was bawling actually, and like I didn't for once I didn't care who was there and how many people, and everybody was a little shocked, I think, as to what to do, because everybody was standing around me, and I couldn't hold it in anymore, and I just felt like I needed that release, and it was almost like a 18-year release. It was not just a 2-week release that happened in those moments, but it's been an amazing journey, and it has been truly, truly special. To be able to share that with my family, to share that with some of my best friends, to share the court with one of my closest friends who also happens to be Indian, which was really special for both of us to be there at that platform.
If I'm not wrong, you were very clear that you wanted to play the final Grand Slam of your life with an Indian, isn't it? That's why Rohan Bopanna.
Well, I mean, there is not many Indians that I can choose from. So yeah, it was Rohan by choice, but also it would have probably been Rohan anyway, because he is, like I said, he is one of my best friends on and off the court, and we just go such a long way back, But I think it is very special because actually I wanted to play with him at US Open, and that didn't happen because I hurt my elbow. And even that time I said, "Oh, Ron, you want to play?" And he's like, "Okay, we'll play." And then, I was like, "Ro, I can't play. You got to find someone else." And then we just in December, I just happened to pass it because I actually wasn't sure how good or bad my body will be. So it was very last minute. I was still waiting to see. And then, when they were here for training, I just said, "Ron, you want to play Australia since it's my last?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I mean, what better way? We've actually never played a final together, So it was amazing that we were able to do that. So
yeah, absolutely. At this age and the numbers that you were talking about, so it's such a grand finale to your Grand Slam career. Of course, you will play a couple of more tournaments, and your final Swan Song tournament will be in Dubai, which is also home for you. I'll come to that in just a bit. But Sania, I did want to ask you, and we've spoken a few times about this. You're known for your ferocious forehand. That's something that everybody remembers about you. You're known as a fearless athlete, especially a female athlete who was coming up at a time when you were, and you were very fearless with the way you handled everything and expressed yourself. You're also known as a fighter. You fought a lot of odds off the court, on court. You came back after becoming a mother. I do want to ask you today, I've asked you a lot of things about your favorite partnerships and all of that, but how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as a person who fought for what she believed was right, who fought against the odds. Because, of course, I would like to be remembered as life where it's not just about winning tennis matches and hitting tennis balls. It's much larger than that. And when you ask me what I would like to be remembered as, I would like to be remembered as a very good tennis player who also stood her ground when it mattered, who also fought against a lot of odds on and off the court, And for someone who truly tried to stay as authentic as possible, and I'm going to lie if I say I was 100% authentic all the time, because it's just not possible in front of the public eye, but as authentic as possible. And that is something that I strive for, to try and be the truest self, and to try and be a good example in many ways, to be able to inspire young girls, young boys, young mothers who want to dream and fulfill their dreams, and know that you can do it. There are people who have done it, and you can be one of those people. Your life just does not end because you have a baby and you have more responsibilities. It's actually just the beginning of a new chapter. So I want to be remembered for all those things as well, as being someone who was able to achieve the things that I did, and to be number one in the world. Not many people get to say that. So yeah, I'm very proud of those things, but I'm also proud of the way I've been able to stay true to myself.
You've inspired a lot of people, a lot of girls especially. So, that's one big thing that Sania Mirza's career is also always going to be known for, because before you, there weren't many females who had done what you have done in sport in general for India, and of course in tennis particularly. And you must be very, very aware of just how many women, how many young girls you've inspired to be Sania Mirza, or to be like Sania Mirza in whatever field they choose.
I think that is very important, because I think that 30 years ago, when I and my family dreamt of all these things and playing Grand Slams and winning them, though winning was so far ahead of the dreams. It was just about getting there. At that point, when we dreamt about all this, people used to actually laugh at us, and that. I mean, obviously, you've been around our family, and they used to think that we're crazy. And maybe we were a little crazy to have a crazy dream, So that is something that you have to be. You have to achieve amazing and great things. You have to be a little crazy. And crazy is not always bad. You can be, you can believe in yourself. And my parents did, and they believed in me and my abilities and my talent when no one else did. So I think that for me, it is very important to put that out, that whoever and whatever you do in your life, never let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Because as young girls, we are told more often than not that we can't do something than that we can do, right? I mean, even you will say yes to that. Every young girl will tell you. Because the minute a young girl chooses a profession that is outside of the box, she's told that, but are you crazy? Why do you want to do that? Like, why don't you just do what normal people are supposed to do culturally or whatever? So the fact is that I think that's why I keep saying, even if I've inspired one young girl, one young mother, one young child to dare to dream, then I think that my job has been fulfilled for what I've been placed here for.
Can I ask you, when you were at the Australian Open, you talked a lot about how the Australian Open is extremely special for you, because that third round appearance versus Serena Williams really made you the star, and made the world look up and take notice of Sania Mirza and her forehand especially. Of course, you won at the Australian Open before, and then of course you were in the mixed doubles final as well. I remember a few other moments from your career which possibly were extremely special similarly, but I want to ask you, when you look back, what is that one moment that stands out?
In Australia, or like anywhere in the world?
Generally. Yeah, generally from your career.
I mean, I think I'm fortunate enough to say that I've had so many such moments that it's very difficult for me to say, oh my God, this is the one moment that I feel has defined, me, and it really has, I'm like, okay, that one match. It was never like that. It's been, whether it was becoming number one in the world, whether it was winning my first medal when I was 15 years old for India. Those memories, and I may have been, that was a bronze medal, but I went on to win golds at Asian Games, many, many medals at Asian Games, many years after that. You win the first, it's very easy for people to believe in you. It's much harder for people to believe in you when you've not gotten that first. So, and for yourself sometimes, and for yourself sometimes you need that first one. So that one was very special for me. For me, obviously winning Wimbledon was extremely special. So like I said, it's very difficult for me to be like, okay, this was the moment that, when I look back now, but also losing to Serena, because that kind of defined me and defined my entire career. That's where it kind of like people took notice and started believing that we can, as Indians, compete against the best in the world. You know, and you don't have to have a certain path. You can create your own path, which I was fortunately and by the grace of God able to do.
Yeah, of course, I can add to that list top 30 in the world for the first time, an Indian woman getting there, world number one, 6 Grand Slams, many more Grand Slam finals, and a whole host of other things, you know, WTA, year-end trophies, and more. But finally, I want to ask you, what is post-retirement life for Sania going to be like? You are a mother, you have a family, so of course that's going to be a very big part of your life, maybe more kids, I don't know. But otherwise, as a person, as a as a human being who's, you know, been getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning and working so hard physically all her life, what is that one thing you look forward to doing? And what is post-retirement like life for Sania going to be like?
I mean, I actually still have to wake up at 6:30 in the morning because now my son goes to school. So that has not changed. That stays. But I'm actually looking forward to a little bit of a calm. I need to find my calm a little bit, and I feel the need to do that. And I feel, I just need to do different things and not travel as much. I mean, I still want to travel. So those are the things that I want to do. I've started some academies and I've started some back-end work. I'm into a couple of more businesses that I want to get into further once I stop. So I am still busy. It's just, I just want it to be a little quieter. That's all.
Well, it will be quieter naturally, because the kind of noise and the kind of impact your career has made, I don't think there is a parallel story to that. I don't think that anybody else can say that they've had quite the career that Sania Mirza has had, Indian or otherwise, because your story is so much larger than the tennis court itself. It's a lot more things added on to it and everything around it. And, you know, I've been lucky to interact with you and your family. And one thing that always stands out is that good or bad, you roll with it, you laugh through it. And that is something that you need to kind of, you know, do this. Otherwise, it's not possible.
I think that, and I think that people actually don't realize, because maybe I sometimes come off a little standoffish, but I think that for me, humor is a very big part of my life, and it gets me through a lot. It gets me through good and it gets me through bad, and we take, as a family, we take everything with a smile, and that's literally how we are, and that's what we've been taught, and it actually does make life a little bit easier, you know, even in those tough moments. But I just want to say, like, before we go, that it's been an absolute privilege to represent our country, to represent everybody, to represent you all at that stage, being the first woman to be able to do the things that I was able to do. And it's been an absolute honor and a privilege. And that's the part I'm going to probably miss the most. I still think that I can represent the country in different ways. But I don't think that it's going to happen on the tennis court again. And that is where I am truly myself, on the tennis court and winning and competing. And yeah, so I just want to say it's been an absolute honor for the last over 20 years to be able to do that.
Well, you've been a fierce competitor and an absolute role model, a great ambassador for the country and the sport. The world recognizes that. I want to wish you and your family at the end of a glorious career, because obviously it takes a lot of effort from your family to get you to where you have achieved everything that you have. And all the best for the next couple of tournaments that are coming up. I hope to chat up with you after the final tournament as well.
May you end on a high. See you guys. See you on the other side.
Thanks a lot for speaking to us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.